Hi, everyone, and welcome to Adair Live. My name is Carrie Montoya. I'm the marketing manager here at Adair, and my co-host today is Jay Sowers. Jay has been with Adair, gosh, it's been since he was an infant, I guess. Does that sound about right to you, Jay?
Very, very close. Yes. Yes. It's definitely been a minute.
Raised by Adair. So today we'll be giving you guys just a broad overview of building a custom home on your land. Most importantly, we'll be answering any and all questions you may have about the building process. This can include, but is not limited to, financing, design modifications, inspections, site evaluation, anything and everything about the custom home building process. There is no stupid question, and it's likely someone else is thinking it too. So if you think of anything, just put them in the chat and we'll get those answered. You can also just say hi. Let us know where you're watching from. Tell us where you're building, where you're thinking about building. Tell us what part of the home building process you're in. Maybe you're just thinking about it. Maybe you're on your third home. We'd love to hear from you. So to start us off, Jay, can you just give us like a high level overview of what it means to build on your lot?
Absolutely. So I would say a very high level overview is the key word there is your lot, right? So Adair or builders like Adair do not have subdivisions. So the customer, right, has identified a lot that they would either like to purchase or that they currently own that they would like to build on. And companies like Adair Homes, we specialize in putting together the feasibility of building on that property. Everything from moving the dirt to getting the building permits to bringing in the utilities to ultimately pouring the foundation and handing the keys to the homeowner. And what is all of that going to cost? So that way I know if it's going to be a good fit for me before I even sign contracts with the builder. So at a very high level, Carrie, that would be kind of a on your lot style builder.
Awesome. So next, we're going to talk about some of the advantages of building on your lot. Can you share what some of these might be instead of maybe building with, say, a community builder or buying an existing home?
Yeah. So what most of the customers that we serve here at Adair Homes, what they appreciate is the flexibility, the customization, the personalization. Generally speaking, when you're in a subdivision community, you are a little bit more restricted on lot sizes, floor plan possibilities, options, and those types of things. Whereas if you decide to build on property, really, you can do pretty much anything as long as we're building to design criteria and zoning criteria for setbacks and things of those natures. But really, you can add windows and add square footage and do a lot more customization and really maximize your home to really fit your property and the features that your property may have to offer, such as a beautiful view, for instance. So, yeah.
Absolutely. So maybe talking about some of the main components that go into building a custom home.
Mhm.
Here we have initial considerations. So let's talk about some of those. Starting with budget, how do you determine an overall budget? How do I know how much money I should allocate to each category, like the home or the land or the site, etc.?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great question. And I would say that budget is obviously, one of the most important things, if not the most important thing to consider. And really, Carrie, there's two ways to go about it. Either a customer comes to a builder like Adair and says, hey, how much is this going to cost? This is what I want to build. Or we reverse engineer it and say, hey, what can I get approved for? Right? How much money can I spend? And then what can I build for my budget? But regardless, whichever type of customer you are, any builder that does on your lot building will absolutely be able to should be able to visit the property that you're wanting to build on, have a clear, concise understanding of how much it's going to take to develop the property, right? And when I say develop, generally that means, 5 things, right? That's excavation, right? Water, power, sewer, and building permits. There are some other things, but the builder would want to identify, okay, what do those 5 things cost specific to this property, right? And then ultimately the floor plan itself. How large is it? What type of interior fit and finish does it have? What type of structural amenities does it have? And at the end of the day, Carrie, for the land, the site development, and then the physical home itself, when you add those 3 things together, okay, well then, can I afford it? Does it fit within my comfortable budget? And if the answer is no, that's okay. Let's take a step back. If the answer is yes, well, that's a scary day. Let's just keep moving forward towards seeing if this is going to be a good fit. So that would be a good overview, Carrie, of the budget specifically.
And then to get started down that process of determining your budget, we need financing, or maybe some people have cash. Does the customer need to provide their own financing? Does the builder help with that?
Yeah, so I would say that there is a percentage of customers that come to a builder and says, "Hey, I have a cash budget of X," right? Which is great. That's totally fine. For the rest of us, we need to get something called construction financing, right? A little different than a mortgage, but we need to get construction financing that will ultimately recast or refinance into a mortgage. Here at Adair Homes, we've partnered with Adair Financial Services, and they specialize in construction financing. No matter what builder you choose to work with, my assumption is that any builder that specializes in on-your-lot construction should absolutely have at minimum, a preferred lender list to be able to get you pre-approved for a construction loan. So that would set your budget on making sure that this is going to work before you sign contracts with the builder. But great question, Carrie.
So then with that budget, are customers able to purchase land who maybe don't own it, as well as the home, or is that a separate piece? And if they do own the land, does that affect like how much they have to bring to the table as far as down payments?
Yeah, good question. So it really does depend on the lender that you choose to go with. But to answer your first question, a construction loan, which is a very specific type of loan, a construction loan will allow the borrower to wrap everything into one clean loan. So if you're buying land, if you're developing the property, obviously you're building on it, right? Everything gets wrapped into one clean loan. The second part of your question was down payment. And I would say that this is a great question for your lender. But at a very high level, as long as you're doing what's called a conventional construction loan, right? Conventional loans are meaning that they're loans at or beneath the conforming loan limit for your area for Freddie and Fannie. Here in this part of the world, it's generally about $766,000. But all that to say, as long as you're at that or below, ballpark is there's usually about a 5% down payment. If you go above 766, the payment can increase because now you're talking about a jumbo loan. Again, it does depend on the lender. But with Adair Financial Services, if you own the land and you're already entitled to the property, Adair Financial specifically, they do have options where you have $0 cash to close or no down payment to fund the loan. But great question. Definitely want to get those questions answered early on in the budget process.
Absolutely. And if you do want to see what you're pre-approved for, you can go to the Adair Financial website, and they have an easy form you can submit. And I believe it's within 24 to 48 hours, you'll get a notification from them on whether or not you're pre-approved, or what amount.
Yeah.
So moving on to location, do I need to already own land to work with a builder? If I am looking for land, what factors should I consider when choosing land for my new home?
Yeah. So I would say that the customers that we serve, probably, I don't know, half the customers have land, the other half, do not. Um, but this question specifically around, I'm trying to choose the right piece of land. I'm going to assume that we don't own land yet, right? Because we're actually trying to find a piece of property. And really, the number one thing, if we're looking at cost and we're looking at impact to the overall budget, really the number one thing that we should all be looking for is topography, right? How sloped the property is. When it comes to things like water and sewer and power and those types of things, they're all generally manageable, right? I mean, we either have to pay a few $1,000s for a city water meter, and now you have a water bill, or you're paying 10, 15, 18,000, depending, for a well, and now you no longer have a water bill, right? Same thing with septic. Here locally in the county that we serve, where I'm at right now, the average cost for a sewer connection to a lateral is about $9,000. Well, you can get a septic system installed from, 10 to 15,000, depending upon what type of septic system it is. So all things considered, when it comes to water, power, and sewer, those are things that are easily identifiable and can shift the budget a little bit, but they're not gonna greatly impact a budget. But when it comes to topography, if you pull up to that job site and you're staring down a hillside and you're like, that's where I want to build my home, okay. So now you're talking about very large foundation walls, daylight basements. It's now you're talking about not to scare anybody, but tens of thousands of dollars in added expense, and that can affect your driveway. It can affect your garage, access to the home, just to name a few. So, long-winded way of answering your question, Carrie, is the number one thing that we always like to tell customers to look at when trying to find a perfect piece of property for them. The number one thing to look out for is topography. Everything else we can easily budget for and shouldn't affect your budget too substantially.
And then say I find a piece of property I like, and obviously it's your responsibility at that point to do the due diligence on the land to see if it's buildable. Is there any help from the builder in doing that? And can I put in the offer, but then get my money back if it turns out that, this isn't a feasible project?
Yeah, great question. So this is probably one of the most nerve-wracking points in the process, at least up front for most of us, right? As customers, is I'm thinking about building. I think I like this property, but I'm not sure. And I really need to figure out how much all this is going to cost. Okay, perfect. Let's go make an offer on the property. And it's like, whoa, hold on a second here. Like, I'm not ready to buy this thing. Like, I'm not committed. So team, Carrie's asking a great question. So when you make an offer on a piece of property, okay, ultimately what you're doing is you're saying, hey, seller, I'm going to give what's known as an earnest money agreement. It can be as little as $500. Sometimes it's up to, 1,000 or two. It just kind of depends on the purchase price of the property. So I'm going to give that money over, and it's going to go into escrow, right, as earnest money. And then in return, what the seller is going to give us is they're going to give us usually 30 days to do what's called our due diligence to make sure that, okay, is this property going to work for the home that I want to build within my budget? And I'm going to fast forward. Now we're on day 29, and we've done a full feasibility study on looking into permitting, zoning regulations. You can see we're going to be getting into there next. But at the end of the day, does this property, like, is it going to work? And if for any reason we're getting a bunch of red flags, we are pushing the budget, things are not comfortable, that's okay. On day 29 of a 30-day feasibility period, you would just rescind your offer on the property and you would get that earnest money back. And now you're on to the next lot, right? But only in the event that you have a very high level of confidence in your budget, the feasibility is coming in beautifully, and everything's working. All the stars are aligning. Okay, perfect. Then, only then, would we move forward with the project. So great question, Carrie.
So then with those zoning regulations and permitting, is that as the customer's job to understand all of that, or will the builder help me through that process? Who's going to be taking the reins on that portion?
Yeah, so it depends on the builder that you are interacting with and doing business with. Here at Adair Homes, we try desperately to assist the customer through all of that. But at the end of the day, I'm going to take a step back. It's really simple information, but sometimes it's not so simple to get. But every property, okay, every tax parcel, every lot has very specific zoning regulations, such as building setbacks, right? How close to the property lines can you build? Some lots have height restrictions, okay, based on average grade. How tall of a structure can we build? Other zoning regulations are, is this property zoned for the duplex that I want to build? Or is it a single family resident zoning only, right? I could go on and on. But point is that during your feasibility study, we would want to get a hold of two departments. We want to get a hold of the planning department, right? And the building department. Technically, they are two very separate departments. But between those departments, and just asking a question of, hey, my tax parcel is ABC 123 - whatever, right? Okay, I want to build on that tax parcel. I need information. They will provide you, those two departments. Sometimes you have robust information online, but phone calls are always good, as are emails. But we can get the zoning information specific to that tax parcel. So if we were going to apply for building permits tomorrow morning, right, is the building department in direct alignment with what we want to do as the consumer, right? And that is very important between you and your builder. It's very important to have those interactions either before or at least during the feasibility phase of the project. So, yep.
That's all great information. Let's move on to something a little more fun. Okay. So I know when you build with Adair, there are two paths you can take, which is a custom built home or one of our pre-designed homes. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little bit about the difference between either a custom home or a pre-designed home and how the process changes depending on what path you choose?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. This is definitely more fun than the previous conversation. But think about this, team. You can go on the builder's website, in any builder, and you can look at their floor plans, okay? But specific to Adair, what we allow our customers to do is to really personalize their floor plans. So we have what the industry would call pre-designed floor plans, right? And they start at 557 square feet for our Sitka, and they go all the way up to 3,500 square feet for the Cascades, depending upon if you're in Arizona or not. But all that to say, if one of those floor plans works for you and your family, great. That is outstanding news. We have click button pricing. We can put together a home quote in real time for you and your family, and we can let you know exactly how much tile showers and everything else cost in that home, okay, for you to make an educated decision. Now, what happens if you find a floor plan, an Adair floor plan, but it's not quite what you were hoping? I want a little bit more space in my garage. I want a little bit, I want more windows on this side of my home to really capture that view. So at that point, what Carrie's referencing here is now we're starting to do what's called customization or custom options. And we are physically and structurally changing the floor plan. So here at Adair Homes, right, kind of path number 2, if you will, is we can absolutely customize and structurally change one of our floor plans. Okay, very simple process, very simple path, and we will get those customizations priced for you, so that way you and your family can make an educated decision on if you'd like to move forward with that home or not. Okay, but then there's another path, and that is our custom build. And it's very simple and it's very straightforward. And that is where you, as the buyer, you absolutely love, in this case, Adair Homes. You love our design centers, our customer experience, our processes. Like, you love everything about it, right? I'm all in. There's just one problem. There's not a floor plan that Adair Homes offers that I'm just falling in love with. So that's where we have a very simple process where we work with you and our in-house design and drafting team, and we formalize your floor plan, the one that you drew on a napkin, the one that you found online, or the one that you have 9 different Pinterest pictures of that you're trying to like pull together, right? Whatever it is, we will engage with you and pull together your custom floor plan. And the best part about it, team, is Adair keeps it simple. Is we're now going to price your custom designed floor plan. We're going to price it with our standard features. So that way, when you start talking about walk-in tile showers and all of the other things, here we go again. Full transparency, and you're able to work within your comfortable budget with all the interior fit and finish that your custom home requires. I'm aware of other builders that may unintentionally confuse the situation, and they say, here's your custom home and all this stuff is included, and it makes it very hard to decipher how I want to spend my money as a customer. So I'm a little long-winded here, but at the end of the day, we design your floor plan, we then price it as if it was one of our standard floor plans. And now you and your customer can work with your local Adair office, right, and our homeownership counseling team, and we can start adding features and amenities within your custom home, all while we're honoring your budget. So sorry for the long-winded way, but those are generally the 3 paths that we offer here, specifically at Adair.
Thank you, Jay. Yeah, and if anybody's interested in learning more about the custom home building process or exploring past custom builds, you can actually find those on our website. And we have a library of custom homes that we've designed and photo galleries. And you can check that out at adairhomes.com/custom-homes right there at the bottom of the screen. It's a very cool library of plans that we have there. So then moving on, let's talk about the construction process. Jay, can you give us just a brief overview of that process?
Absolutely. So what you're seeing here on the slide deck is arguably, depending upon the builder you're working with, we would want to budget, approximately 8 months or so, right? If I were asked to put a timeline to this. But you can see here that when we talk about construction, what Carrie's referencing is, your loan, if applicable, your loan has funded, right? Congratulations, you now own the land if you didn't already. Your building permits, remember we talked about kind of the jurisdictional and the permitting stuff. Your building permits have now been approved, okay? And now it's time to actually go improve the property and build your home. So the very first bullet there is we're going to do groundbreaking. We're going to start excavating the job site. We're going to be bringing in your temp utilities, water, power, sewer, obviously your driveway and those types of things. We're then going to come in once all the excavation is done and your property is now ready for construction, right? The first contractor to come in, other than the excavator, right, is the foundation crew. They're going to come in, pour your foundation. You're then going to see a bunch of lumber being delivered, right? Framing crews show up. They start framing your home. And as after the framing commences, all of your utilities and infrastructure goes in. Those are called your mechanicals. Once we get through all of that, there's a very large round of inspections, both internally here at Adair and externally with your building inspector, right? Required building department inspections. We're then going to go into sheetrock. And now that all the plumbing and electrical, and mechanicals that are in the walls, now that we all got signed off, now we're going to cover all your walls with sheetrock, and we're going to go into what the industry knows as the finish phase of the home. Okay. And that's where we're going to start painting and bringing in all of your interior finishes, such as cabinetry, flooring, countertops, etc. Right. And at the end of all of it, we're going to get final building inspections signed off, and then you are going to be able to get moved into your brand new home. And that's where your builder will hand you the keys to the home and walk you through your home and do generally a orientation, and then ultimately close the home with you in construction. So
the best. And if you are more of a visual person, we are currently showing some photographs of builds from start to finish on our Instagram. You can go follow us there, the Adair Homes Instagram. And just to kind of wrap up what we talked about the benefits of building on your lot, some considerations you should be making like budget, location, permitting. We talked about our custom build path versus our pre-designed plans. And then we gave you a brief overview of the construction process. And this is your chance. If anybody has any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat and we'll get those answered. And then we have another Facebook Live coming up in 2 weeks. Be sure to join us for that. There's a good chance we'll be doing a home walkthrough. And I think that's about all for today. So if anybody wants to talk with our team or has any more questions they didn't get answered, you can head to our website, www.adairhomes.com. And there's ways you can meet with our team. You can view our plans, all kinds of good stuff on there. So be sure to check that out. And thank you, Jay, so much for being here with us today.
You bet. Thank you very much for having me.
We'll see you all in 2 weeks on the next Adair Live.